I think the game industry probably needs the microtransactions. Is everybody is now making a decision to do that. There's a lot of like parent companies right now that are saying, yeah, our games are going to have microtransactions for the future. So most it looks like most of the companies, especially the AAA companies, are turning towards that. And I
What
guess,
do you mean by what do you mean by AAA?
I mean, all your big name companies that make all the big video games, all the big
Uh,
Battlefield, the Call of the Cali Daddies, and the
God, it.
Ass Creeds, and
That's crazy.
such games like that. Games like that. The big, real big budget games. Those games cost a lot of money to make, and it's like they're just trying to cover these costs. So therefore, they're introducing these microtransactions. And I remember like Saints Row 3 had a list full of microtransactions in their menu, and it was like, well, they need it. They made a half-ass game, so of course they need these microtransactions. They're not. They're not gonna. They're still not giving you the full game with it because that's all their budget can do is make this small little city with nothing in it, really. Not compared to Saints Row 2. They put a lot of work into Saints Row 2. But we're not living in that era anymore. We're living in an era where people are trying to find some kind of way to get money off you or keep getting money off you. Therefore, well, this new model they want to have is games as a service. So, which means they want to make continuous current off of it as it's being used. They know that single player games aren't necessarily good for that type of thing, although they can do it with single player games, but it's mostly multiplayer situations that they really want to put that in. And I'm just trying to think in a way like, what's the trade-off? If they do like pay to win, or nobody else has this, like you said earlier, if this gun or this weapon or whatever item isn't in the game and someone pays for this microtransaction to have it in the game, so they're one of the only few running around with this gun, and it has all these extra stats, that can pretty much topple, everybody. Then, something like that is probably going to become a problem, especially if you can't just earn it in game by default. That's probably going to become an issue. That's what I see. This microtransaction thing, it's the big talk right now. Loot boxes is the most. I don't want to say it's the most popular way of microtransactions, but it seems like it's the one of the more gimmicky ways of getting people to part with their money. So I look at it like this: if it's like cosmetic stuff, if it's stuff that you can earn in the game, I kind of don't really mind micro. I'm not gonna, like that. For me, I like to actually play the game. I don't like to go buy a shortcut for the game because that just kills the point of the game for me. But if some people feel like they need to do that, or they don't have a lot of time, then maybe that's good for them. Maybe if it helps
But,
keep the games funded.
but wait a
Oh,
minute. Wait a minute. Unlock new weapon or item in the game is not. It's not a short.
of course it's not. Because you unlocked it in the game. Like, you played the game to get that. What I mean is, if you pay money, you skip that.
Oh, all right,
Yeah,
all
that's the
right.
form of
Okay.
microtransaction. This is what you was bringing up earlier. Like, if somebody pays money, then and you're still working to get it, but they have it already, and they're not even level such and such to have that or whatever. Like that, you know. I don't know. Like I said, it's two different forms of it. If it's not in the game at all, and then someone turns around and buys it, and they're one of the only few that had this paid purchase in game to do that, that may cause a problem. But now, if it's something you can earn, because I don't want to get the two
Ah, it's okay.
confused.
This shortcut, yeah, this shortcut, yeah. You can
Mhm.
earn it.
If you can earn it, I think that might be good. I think that might be good if you provide that type of microtransactions if necessary. Until there's a better way to really go about it, because people have tried, what is it, season passes and things like that, and I don't know. It's just they got to find some kind of way to get the extra money for these budgets. Some of these budgets, I will say, are unnecessary for these games, certain games. But yeah, I mean, Grand Theft, they were clever with Grand Theft Auto 5. They had uh, of course, they had the single player element, but then they added an online element, and they had this thing called shark cards with it. So you can basically buy shark cards if you don't have a lot of time to be on the grind in the game and doing the different missions to get up to that money. You can just go pay for it. You can buy, like, what is it, like, I think you can buy for $100, you can buy like 8 million in-game dollars, I believe. That right there, that's a thing. But it doesn't affect me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it kind of could affect me if I was just playing mostly, I guess, PvP type stuff. But I don't know. I don't see how it can affect me. That I guess it works in a game like that, because I'm always, if I need to get something, I'm always play the game to get what I want. It doesn't, and I got a lot of friends online, so they can always join, and we can always complete missions or heists mostly. So it really doesn't. I still got millions without ever having a shark card. So, but it works. It works. I see a lot of people complain about it because this is how games usually do when they're doing the microtransaction thing. They make the original game take a hell of a long time to earn whatever items that you're trying to earn. It's going to take a long time, and the reason for that is because they have microtransactions in the game, and they can't allow you to just get it so quickly. So you got to go get the microtransactions, and then now you're talking. Now you got what you need right now, or what you want right now. Yeah. So you no longer have to complain about, oh, on the grind, I ain't got time for this, I ain't got time for that. Yeah, this microtransaction thing, I don't know where it's gonna go for the future. I don't know, like a really good way of doing it. I don't know. Usually MMOs get into that type of thing. A lot of free-to-play games. So, hey,
Yeah.
I just hope it doesn't get too ugly. That's all I say. Hope it doesn't get too ugly,
Hopefully.
because gaming already doesn't look like the enjoyment it once was. Especially in a lot of the genres I like to play. So, I just hope that this doesn't. I hope there's a plus side. That's all. I hope there's a plus side. Maybe then the developers, excuse me, the developers can make that Saints Row game I always wanted. We always wanted for them to return back to a grounded Saints Row 2 type of deal, where it kind of had like both sides, but it was a bit more grounded, where it just made, I don't know, it was just better overall. It was just better overall than something like a Saints Row 3 or 4. I think people thought that, okay, Saints Row 3, we can kind of deal with this because it's, it went there, but it's not too far. I think that's what some people were thinking, but not me. I was already thinking it went too far, and it can only get worse from there, which is exactly what happened. Saints Row 4. You know, like where you gonna go after Saints Row 3? You're gonna go to something like a Saints Row 4, and then I mean, it's just gonna get crazier and crazier with no return. Like you can't do that. So I think I'm a partially fault the media, the gaming media for that. Although Saints Row 2 did have its glitches and it didn't really perform well as far as, running good, especially, on the PC side of things, it really didn't run that well. It was locked at 32 frames per second. I think by today, and a good engine could really bring Saints Row 2 back to life. But I think it probably would return with microtransactions, regardless. Regardless, like it don't even matter. They probably still gonna dump microtransactions in there. They did it with Call of Duty 4, I think. I think they dumped loot boxes in Call of Duty 4, from what I heard. Which is called Modern Warfare now, Modern Warfare Remastered. So Modern Warfare Remastered, eventually they slid loot box on. They ain't slide them in there in the beginning. They waited for a little while, then they slid the loot boxes in there. So yeah, that just seems to be a thing now, And I've been gaming less and less, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Sometimes I go back and play old games.
Yeah, man.
I'd just like to hear from other people what they think, though. What they think about these microtransactions, because it's really a conversation, man. Gaming today versus gaming, some years ago is a trip. And yeah, PDGA game.